Hello everyone and welcome back to the Grosso YouTube channel. Again, Dominic here. Got an amazing topic for you all. We're going to be talking about the 3 payment close that allowed me to personally sell millions and millions of dollars. And it's really a foundational close that my sales team executed on day in and day out to truly dominate the competition. So make sure you get your notepad out, get your popcorn ready. This is going to be an exciting topic. So those of you watching this, make sure you do like and subscribe to our content. It really helps boost the algorithm and get our content out to more viewers. We're really trying to grow this channel. And one thing I'm proud to say is our free content on this channel, whether it be our sales training content, our leadership content, our content on health and wellness, mindset, motivation, warrior wisdom walks, you name it, is better than pretty much any other paid content in the home improvement industry. Share with your friends. I hope you like it. And let's go ahead and dive into the subject. It's time to listen up, closers. Before you go any further, you need to hear this. The Grosso University Sales Academy Masterclass is not just another training opportunity. This is the most in-demand, highest-rating sales training program in the history of the home improvement industry. Thousands of sales warriors just like you have gone through this life-changing program taught by our world-class head sales trainer, Daniel Coombsbury, and they are winning more and bigger because of it. If you're serious about dominating in sales, this is where you go to sharpen your edge. The best part is, it's 100% virtual and happens on the second Monday of every month, so there are absolutely zero excuses not to invest in your growth and development. Why don't you go ahead and hit the link in the description to learn more and lock in your spot and get ready to ignite the greatness within. On behalf of Grosso University, yes, you are a closer, and back to the video. So kicking things off, I did a previous video a little while ago all on the art of price delivery. So if you go on our YouTube channel, you'll see another video we'll post in the comments. It's going to be all about the art of proper price delivery, because that's a step in the sales process I see a lot of salespeople making mistakes on, and a lot of salespeople, frankly, talk themselves out of the house in that stage alone. So where this 3 payment close is going to come into play is at the next step of our retail closing sequence, which is financial terms. So imagine I delivered a total investment, right, the art of price delivery, of $20,000, okay, which in the home improvement space is a pretty average sale. You know, there's some bigger ticket items, there's some smaller ticket, but just to use even numbers for the sake of this video, we're just gonna picture a $20,000 home improvement project. So it could be a nice sized house full of windows, could be a siding project, roofing, you name it, a really nice shower system, kitchen remodel, you name it. So assuming it's $20,000, I just delivered the total investment. Where this closing sequence is gonna carry on from is from how we delivered that total investment. So if you recall from our price delivery video, imagine I have my total investment, whether I have it written down on a piece of paper or closing sheet, I have it on my laptop or my iPad. So right when I slide the total investment over to John and Mary homeowner, I slide it right in between the two of them. I sit back in a receiving position, and before I slide it, I say the following line. I say, as much as I love during your business this evening, I just want to remind you this total investment is good for 30 days. I slide it over, then I sit back and I zip the lip. So it's really, really important that salespeople get expertly trained on how to listen and use silence as a weapon of influence at the negotiating table. So a lot of times, simply by you remaining quiet, you're going to allow your prospects to really spill the beans on what they're really thinking. Because a lot of the things they blurt out initially are just surface level reflex responses, and they're not the true emotional root origin of what's truly on their mind and what they're feeling. So use silence as a weapon. It's one of the most powerful weapons of influence we have. But of course, assuming I slide the total investment over to my prospects, right? Let's say it's $20,000. There's a couple different reactions you can get when you slide over your total investment. The homeowners may say something like, I got to think about it. You never heard that one before, right? Well, we still got to think about it. We'll be getting back to you. Or they may say something like, the price is too high. It's too much money, or we can't afford that. Or they may say something like, shop around. Well, just so you know, we're still going to be getting a couple other quotes, so we'll be getting back to you. The thing I love, again, I'm a big fan of keeping things simple. So raise your hand watching this video if you like keeping things simple. So when I transition from price delivery to financial terms and this 3 payment close, I like to make sure that I'm keeping things in a very simplistic format where I can transition the same way each and every time. Now, of course, this total investment, more often than not, is good for 30 days. So if someone gives me an objection like, we got to think about it, no sweat, because they actually have 30 days to think about it. If they tell me they're going to be getting other quotes and looking around, I don't blame them. I'm giving them 30 days. So the big mistake a lot of salespeople make is when they get an objection right at the retail close here, right when they deliver the total investment, they immediately start trying to justify it right here. They they start trying to solve the objection. So I want you, instead of solving the objection, to ignore this objection. And I'll explain why that's important, right? So we talked about an acronym early in our sales training called AIM. That stands for acknowledge, ignore, and move on. And this is an especially prevalent area in the sales process where the AIM method is going to be extraordinarily important for you to master. Some of the best sales warriors I've ever seen in my life are absolute experts at ignoring and sidestepping objections and continuing to move forward through the sales process. So let me give you an example of how not to overcome a price objection right here. So hypothetically, I slide over a total investment of $20,000 and the homeowner says, well, wow, that's too much money. The wrong way to handle that is, well, what do you mean it's too much money? You said this is what you wanted. Were you lying? Or another wrong way to handle that is, well, John and Mary, remember when we said we had a lifetime warranty, we had the finest glass pack, or we had the finest wall system with antimicrobial technology infused into it? Or remember when I said we had a class 4 shingle with SBS and a synthetic underlayment, and we put ice and water shield, not just 3 feet up, we go full 6 feet up. So immediately I start trying to justify my price, and all of a sudden I start flapping my jaw, right? So you got to understand that almost all the objections I get here are simply reflex objections, and they're not the true, real objection. And the homeowner does not know what they don't know. A lot of times when I get an objection here, like a price objection, is because they don't know how affordable it truly is. They're just looking at that total investment, all right? So you got to ignore the objection. So what I train my salespeople to do, when you get any response at the price, delivery, and financial terms, okay? How do I transition from price, delivery to financial terms? Now, I want you to hear my words very clearly. This is something that you can use no matter what the response. So let's say they say they got to think about it, okay? So I slide over my $20,000. The homeowner says, well, Dominic, we appreciate your time. We still got to think about it. Hey, I completely appreciate that, and that's why we guarantee that total investment for 30 days. Now, let me ask you a question. If and when, keywords if and when you were to move forward with a project like this, how would you handle this, John and Mary? Is this something you take care of as a cash investment on check or credit card? Or like most of our customers, keyword being most, is this an investment you would handle as a monthly investment or a budget plan? Be particular about the language I'm using here, okay? So you notice I'm not using the word payment. Is this something you'd be looking at a monthly payment or a finance deal? You notice I'm not using the word payment at any form of the fashion here. Or I'm not using the word price either. So when I was doing the price delivery YouTube video, we made it very clear, one word I want to omit from my vocabulary is the word price when referring to your product or service. So I say, if you were to move forward with a total investment like this, how would you handle it? Is this an investment you take care of as a cash investment on a check or credit card? Or like most of our customers, leveraging social proof bandwagon theory, is this something you're going to take advantage of a monthly investment or a budget plan? So instead of saying the word payment, sales warriors watching this, listen to my words, don't use the word payment anymore. Use the word monthly investment. That's going to be a much softer blow. An investment has a much more positive connotation to it. They can feel a lot better about it. It's not going to activate a fight or flight reaction from your prospects. So they say they got to think about it. You notice I didn't solve the objection at all. I didn't try to say, what do you got to think about? Or you told me this is something you wanted. Now you're saying you got to think about it? What's going on, John and Mary? Start trying to justify it. Just ignore it and move on. So just to recap there, they say you got to think about it. Hey, I can appreciate that. That's why we guarantee that total investment for 30 days. Now let me ask you a question, John and Mary. If and when you were to move forward with the project, how would you handle a number like this? Is this something you take care of as a cash investment on a check or credit card? Or like most of our customers, something you'd handle as a monthly investment and or a budget plan? Now, why am I saying if and when? If the homeowner feels and believes that you're closing him right now and you're just trying to gather intelligence to seal the deal right this second, you're going to see the prospect's guard go up and they're going to resist answering the questions that you're asking them. So if I'm telegraphing the close and I say, well, if you were to move forward on the project today, John and Mary, how would you buy from us? Okay? And then I'm throwing around things like price and payment and contract and all these dirty words of anti-persuasion. You're going to unintentionally activate the customer's fight or flight response. Their guard's going to go up, and they're not going to easily give you the information that you're seeking. If they feel and believe they're not required to make any decisions and they truly still have 30 days to think about it, they don't see any harm in simply going through this process for their future consideration and give me honest answers. So if I were to simplify, we want to stay in the if and when stage at financial terms as we're going through this 3-payment close, because if I'm going through the different monthly investment programs and trying to establish a deposit, if they're not comfortable or relaxed, if their guard is still up, you're going to be far less likely to get honest answers and information from your customers, okay? So absolutely essential. So I need to be hearing that language out of your mouth, sales pros, if and when, if and when. So John and Mary, if and when you were to move forward with a project like this, how would you handle it? Is this something you take care of as a cash investment on check or credit card? Or like most of our customers, something you'd handle as a monthly investment or one of our flexible budget plans? So essentially, they got 2 different pathways they can choose. They got the cash path and they got the monthly investment path. Of course, most people that are looking at a $20,000 project would need to finance it, but I just kind of want to go through this exercise here. So essentially, they got 2 different pathways they can choose. They got cash and they got finance. All right? So now cash, I got to confirm, is this real cash? Is this actually funds they have readily available where they could stroke a check for that comfortably without taking food off the table? Or is this some part or whole they're going to be obtaining from a third party, such as a local bank or credit union? Okay? So how do we have this conversation? Let's say I asked the homeowners if and when they were to move forward with a project like this, how would they handle it, cash or monthly investment? And they say, well, Dominic, we're just going to pay cash for it. I say, great, I'm really glad you prepared for this investment. And just to clarify, when you say cash, are these funds you have readily available for you could write a check for right now? Or is this something, John and Mary, part or whole, you're going to be obtaining from a local bank or credit union or a third party? So I really want to confirm that, because a lot of times when people say they're just going to pay you cash, because again, they're thinking about their future consideration, 30 days, they're thinking, well, we're going to go get a home equity loan, or maybe they're waiting for a tax return, or maybe they're waiting for a year-end bonus. Regardless of what it is, there's some point in time in the near future where they have money coming in from some third-party source, and that's what they're going to use to pay cash. But it doesn't mean they can write a check for it right now. Of course, we teach on a one-call close. It's really difficult to close them right now if I'm going to be waiting the 4 or 5 weeks for them to obtain the funds from their local bank or credit union. So the goal here is, if they truly are going to be getting the funds from somewhere else, I need to revert that prospect or those customers to our financing terms. All right? So how do we do that? So again, we just went through the process, cash or finance. They said cash. Then I want to confirm. So John and Mary, just to confirm, are these funds you have readily available you can write a check for right now? Or is this some part or whole you're going to be obtaining from a third party, such as your local bank or credit union? Well, Dominic, yeah, we're going to be looking at a home equity line of credit from our bank. We just started the application process. Great. That's a really good situation to be in. I tell you what everybody does in this situation, John and Mary, is they like to compare our rates and plans with their local bank or credit union to see which one comes in best. So I tell you what, since I'm here anyway, let me just show you a few of our most popular monthly investment choices. You just let me know if any of them work for you. Fair enough? Now, how much pressure is there to this language? Since I'm here anyway, this is also in the same type of language. This is what we call takeaways in sales, where I'm in the if and when stage, almost like before I leave, before I get out of your hair, right? So John and Mary, since I'm here anyway, it's almost like before I leave, let me just show you a few of our most popular monthly investment programs. You just let me know if any of them work for you. Fair enough? Now, most of you that are selling home improvement projects in the home improvement industry and you're partnered with these different lending companies, you offer what's called unsecured financing. All right? So I want to be able to educate and differentiate unsecured financing versus secured financing. And we got a whole video from Daniel Coombsbury on our platform where he talks at length about the difference between secured loans and unsecured loans. But the big quote I always share is actually from my father. He actually instilled in me is like, Dominic, if you owe $1 to the bank, you don't own anything. Because if you don't pay them, even if it's $1, what can they do? They can start repossessing and taking things from you, including foreclosing you on your house. Now, people get in trouble with home equity loans as well. Home equity lines of credit, HELOC, right? Because they get hooked into a home equity loan at a comfortable interest rate. That's a promo rate. Let's say 5.9, 6.9% as the promo. And then after 6 months to 12 months, that promo goes away and it jumps up to the prime rate. So as we're recording this video, the prime interest rate is between 8 and 9%. Just within a few months' time, 6 months to a year, that interest rate goes from 6.9 to as high as 8 or 9.9. Who knows what the interest rate is going to be a year from now, right? We don't have a crystal ball. But more than likely, it's going to increase. especially with all the volatility going on in the world right now. You look at a home equity line of credit, if you were to go down to your local bank or credit union and actually print off the terms and conditions of a HELOC, you'll see that because it's a variable interest loan, there's actually a max interest rate that those things can go up to. And most of them, as I'm recording this today, most HELOCs go between 18 and 25% interest. So what that means is this is a variable interest loan that could be as high as 18 to 25% interest. So you're telling me I signed up for this home equity loan, borrowing money against my house. I'm hooked on at a 6.9 interest. Within 1 year, it jumps up to 9.9. And this thing can go as high as 18 to 25% interest? I don't know about you, but that's kind of terrifying. That makes me feel very uneasy. If you're like most of our customers, I'm sure you prefer to have the peace of mind that whatever interest rate you sign up for is what the interest rate's going to be for the life of the loan. Also, not to mention, with home equity loans, if you don't pay that off, because it's a secured loan, they can literally repossess you in your house. So I want to essentially, in a roundabout way, put my finance advisor hat on when I'm at this stage in the close and really educate the homeowner on how financing works and differentiate what they're going to get from their bank or credit union compared to what we offer. And this is why we like to compare our rates and plans with their local bank or credit union to see which one comes in best. So now, of course, if they are going down the path of financing, there is a method to the madness on how I navigate financial terms. And that's going to take me to my 3-payment close. And this is a very, very simple thing to do, but it is so darn powerful in the house. And I just want to explain something that we train on extensively at Grosso University. We don't train to ask for the business. We train to assume the order as if the homeowner already says yes. We train the assumptive close. And I can make a whole separate video on why we train to assume the order. Instead of asking for the business, we assume the business, and this will take shape as we navigate this 3-payment close that we're going to be talking about. But you have every right to assume the order in this stage of the sales encounter because of how we tee this up. So if you watch the price delivery video, before we even get into price delivery, we do the 4 pre-closes, which is essentially a series of questions and qualifying commitments we get from that prospect before we even get into price delivery. And one of the last questions is, question number 4 is, well, John and Mary, in that case, if we can truly make this project affordable and fit it into your budget, would there be any reason we couldn't get you started and get you on our busy schedule? All right. So that's the last question. So when they say yes to that, the homeowner has just agreed that if it's affordable, what are they going to do? They will be buying from you. So it's important to know that when I have navigated this 3-payment close properly and isolated down to financial terms that's affordable, you have a duty and an obligation to go for the assumptive close. And there's a lot of ways we can do that, as we'll discuss. So as I'm navigating this, I just want to speak back to some of this data. Top sales performers leverage financing in the home 8 times more than average salespeople do. And what they actually do is they sell the financing. They sell the financing. So again, financing is not something I just throw at the homeowner hoping it sticks, right? It's like trying to nail Jello to a tree. I need to sprinkle this in throughout the sales encounter, actively sell, which means I need to follow that formula of a master presentation. So differentiation, what's in it for me, price, condition, trial, close, exclusive. So very, very important. So they understand what the benefits are to the homeowner personally for going with your monthly investment or your budget plan. But what's the benefit to you? Why is there such this big campaign, this big push to sell on financing? When you're leveraging financing as a boomerang to the sale, you no longer have to sell on price. You don't have to sell on price. I'm not limited or confined to what the homeowner can afford using their own resources. So you don't sell on price anymore. You sell on affordability, what they can afford. Now, affordability is not the same as price. When someone is limited to what they can finance using their own cash or resources, they're more often than not going to settle for what they truly don't want, need, or desire. And I want to make sure I can design the window system, the bath system, the kitchen, the roofing system of their dreams. I don't want them to have to settle. Human beings sell themselves short all the time. So you can sell what they truly want, which is going to make them more emotionally attached to what you're designing. And we're going to be focusing on affordability and not price. Not to mention, the more simple, painless, and easy you can make it for someone to own your product, the higher the probability is you will close that sale. So make it simple, painless, and easy. This is why we finance everything. So I heard an interesting stat recently. Mercedes-Benz, of course, a very high-end brand of luxury vehicle. 98% of people that buy Mercedes-Benz cars, they finance them. Now, you would think the class of person that buys Mercedes-Benz would be able to pay cash, but no, they finance it. Because honestly, it's a no-brainer. They'd be much better off taking that 20 grand they have here instead of throwing all of that at the project. Invest that, something that gives them an actual return on that money, where that money can compound and accrue interest over time. Or some other investment. Throw it at some silver. You know, that could pay off in much bigger dividends than just throwing that all at your home improvement project. Let's break this up into bite-sized pieces you can afford and keep that security blanket, that nest egg, or reinvest it in something more meaningful that's going to give you that ROI, right? So you got to be able to sell the financing. You got to know how to talk, act, and behave. So that's why we're using this language. There's a lot of trigger words and dirty words of anti-persuasion that salespeople are guilty of using that essentially get the homeowner to raise their guard. It activates a fight or flight reaction, and they're wondering why they're getting thrown out of houses. So I just want to recap a few things, of course. So I transitioned from price delivery to financial terms. So imagine I deliver that total investment, that 30-day price. I say, as much as I'd love to earn your business this evening, I want to remind you this total investment is good for 30 days. Slide it over, sit back in a receiving position. The customer responds. They say, oh, well, just so you know, we're going to be getting other quotes. Hey, I can appreciate that, John and Mary, and that's why we guarantee that investment for 30 days so you can relax, take as much time as you need. Now, let me ask you a question. If and when you were to move forward with a project like this, how would you handle it? Is this something you take care of as a cash investment, simply a check or credit card? Or like most of our customers, something you handle as a monthly investment and or a budget plan? Or, well, there, Dominic, we'd have to finance the project. Okay, great. I tell you what, since I'm here anyway, let me just show you a few of our most popular monthly investment programs. Just let me know which one works best for you. Fair enough? Hold on, closers. Are you ready to stop losing deals to the same tired old objections? At Grosso University, we've created this free closers guide just for you, which is a proven step-by-step framework to overcome any objection in the home improvement industry. This is the exact system used by top producers in the game, closing at over 70% plus, including record-breaking selling streaks such as 40 sales in a row. Inside, you'll learn how to get to the true emotional root origin of every objection, crush resistance with confidence, and close like an absolute professional. The best part is, this framework will teach you how to become a tenacious one-call closer without building any pressure whatsoever. Don't leave money on the table. Download your free closer's guide now and start turning objections into opportunities. As always at Grosso University, yes, you are a closer, and back to the video. So as we're navigating financial terms and the 3-payment close, first thing I want to do is establish a deposit. You want to establish a deposit. What can they comfortably put down? This is where a lot of salespeople shoot themselves in the foot. They deliver the price and they throw a bunch of financing options out there without having any clue what the homeowner can put down. Now, there's dichotomies to everything in life. If I were to ask all of you watching this video, what are the benefits to you of the homeowner putting down a deposit, a down payment towards the project? What's the benefit to you? Of course, I'm not going to say down payment from the homeowner. I'm going to say initial deposit. But the benefits are, one, you make the sale more profitable because financing costs money more often than not. So if financing costs money, you're only getting charged on the finance amount. I'm not getting charged on what they put towards the initial deposit. It makes it more profitable. Plus, if someone has more skin in the game, especially financially, it's a much stronger commitment. So much stronger commitment means you're going to have much better retention of those sales. Now, the dichotomy is, though, although I want to get a strong initial deposit, I don't want to overstretch them financially either. So the question I always ask salespeople is, what if you got too big of a deposit? So what if, for example, on this $20,000 project, you had the homeowner put $10,000 down and they financed the rest? Well, if $10,000 depleted their entire savings account, they have nothing left, they're going to wake up the next morning with buyer's remorse, wondering what the hell did they just do? Our entire savings is gone. What do we do now? And that's going to be more likely to wiggle off the line. That's a situation where that deal could cancel, right? So I want to establish a rock-solid initial deposit without stretching that homeowner too thin. Just remember what I said a little bit earlier. The more simple, painless, and easy you can make it for them to own your product, the better. Here's how we transition from financial terms, just kind of delivering the total investment, to establishing a deposit, okay? So the homeowner said, yeah, we'd have to finance. I'm like, great. Since we're here anyway, we'll show you a few of our most popular monthly investment options. You just let me know which one works for you. Fair enough? Now, typically when customers move forward with a project like this, John and Mary, the banks and lenders like to see anywhere from a 10 to 20% initial deposit, which in this case would be anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 even. If you were to handle this investment in the next 30 days, I'm still bringing that back because I'm in the if and when stage, which one of these initial deposits makes the most sense? Would 10% be comfortable, or could we handle 20% or more? You tell me, which one of those would work best for you? So now there's 3 different options. They can choose the 10%, the 20%, or none of the above. Now, if you follow a lot of our training content, one of the things we talk about ad nauseum is affordability. Affordability is our best feature. We can always make it affordable. We can fit into a budget that makes sense for you, okay? I'm not going to get too upset if they say neither, because again, affordability is our best feature, right? But I just want to show them this is typically what people are doing. However, this is not set in stone either. It's not like they have to. So of course, if the homeowner said, well, Dominic, neither of those are comfortable, then I would basically chime back in. I say, I appreciate you telling me that. And one thing I promised you earlier, John and Mary, is affordability is one of our best features. I guess, let me ask you, what would have been an initial deposit that would have been more comfortable for you? Hypothetically, had it only been around 5% or 2.5%, would that be comfortable? That'd be anywhere from $500 to $1,000. Is that something we can handle the next 30 days? Okay. So then I revert to a monthly or initial deposit that they can actually afford. Now, this seems kind of nitpicky, but I want you to pay attention to the language that we use, and this is done by design because we're trying to keep the pressure off. You notice I said, what would have been an initial deposit that would have been more comfortable? I'm using past tense language. And the reason why past tense language is essential is it keeps the pressure off. And again, it makes the homeowner feel and believe we're not just talking about them having to buy or make a decision right now. So of course, I talked about a 5% or 2.5%, which would be anywhere from $500 to $1,000. So let's say they say 5% is comfortable. They said 5% or $1,000. Now, I want to make sure that this is in fact comfortable. And again, I'm not here to deplete their entire savings account or take away from their fund money on the weekends, right? So I want to make sure that the homeowners are truly secure with giving me this type of money. So first, I want to compliment them. So John and Mary, 5% is a perfect deposit to make this affordable. That's absolutely outstanding. And I promise you, with $1,000 down, we have a lot of things we can do to fit this into a budget that makes sense for everyone. Fair enough? Now, of course, hypothetically, had they said 10% or 20%, I want to confirm. So I just want to make sure, though, the $1,000 or $2,000 or $4,000, that's completely comfortable. We're not taking away any food off your table or interfering with your fund money this weekend. So inject some humor, make it light. But make sure that this is, in fact, 100% comfortable for them before you proceed. So you see, you deliver the total investment, the transition into financial terms. If and when you were to move forward with a project like this, how would you handle it? Cash or finance? You go into financial terms. I tell you what, since I'm here anyway, let me just show you a few of our most popular monthly investment programs. Let me know which one works best for you. Then typically when a customer move forward with a project like this, the banks and lenders, you notice I don't say our company requires. I say that banks and lenders like to see anywhere from a 10 to 20% initial deposit. So I'm putting on the onus of the bank, not us. And that basically keeps you as their ally. You're on their team. All I'm helping them do is navigate through this process as their financial advisor, as their guidance counselor, to show them the easiest way to own this product or service and fit into a budget that makes sense. All right? So we settled on a 5% initial deposit, which for this role-playing example means we'd be doing a monthly investment on $19,000 even. But you notice we're confirming that. So they said the 5% is comfortable. So I just want to confirm, John and Mary, again, we're not taking any food off the table or interfering with your fund money this weekend. All right, great. So we've been making a monthly investment on $19,000 even. Many of you watching this, if you offer financing, you probably go through some first look lenders, some second look lenders, some third look lenders. And a lot of times you look at all the rate sheets, there's 1.5 billion different options. So the easy formula I train my salespeople on is the first finance plans I present to my customers, I want to make sure that those have dealer or merchant fees that are 5% or less. Of course, the lower the better. Free would be nice, but I want to make sure I'm not selling high-cost financing. And the reason why I say that is I've seen numerous times in this industry where a salesperson gets into financial terms and the first thing they do is throw out a 5-year interest-free financing plan. Or they do a 24-month no payment, no interest plan that costs like 18%. So you want to hold that stuff in your back pocket and save it for negotiating. So one thing I've said in previous videos is there's a big difference between closing and negotiating. And even if you're a great closer, most salespeople in this industry really suck at negotiating because they give their prospects the cake and they let them eat it too, right? So I want to make sure that I'm not just giving away the farm. And it was actually my mentor, Rick Grosso, that instilled in me is like, Dominic, if you give them their best finance plan first and they say no, where do you go? Home. So I want to keep those more aggressive, higher cost financing programs in my back pocket and use that as leverage for the negotiation process. But if I were to simplify it, I want to do a short-term interest-free financing plan. And an example of this would be like a 6-month no-no. So many of you watching this offer like a 6-month no payment, no interest. More often than not, those types of programs are going to cost less than 5%. Sometimes what I'll do is a 60-month at like 9.9 and then an 84-month at 9.9. So we'll kind of navigate how that process unfolds here. But let's say the homeowner said they wanted to put $1,000 down. They're financing 19 even. So now I'm going to transition to going through the monthly investment programs. So I want to talk them through each one, again, as if I'm their finance advisor. So John and Mary, the first plan I want to talk about is actually an interest-free financing program because there's two things that people don't like about financing. One is making monthly investments and one is paying interest. So this is a really great program. Now, if I'm being totally transparent, I only usually recommend this program for homeowners that really have the means to pay this off as a cash investment, but would rather break it up into a couple installments just to make it more comfortable. But technically, with the way this program works is you could put as little as $1,000 down. You could get the project installed. When the job's installed and we meet and exceed your expectations, you sign the completion form that you're completely satisfied. We then fund the job, and then you have 6 months to take care of it at your leisure. The great thing here is there's no monthly investment you have to make on this at all. The only thing is this would have to be taken care of, paid in full in 6 months. So let me ask you a question, John and Mary. Would paying this off in 6 months put any pressure on you? So I want to stop there. So I want to ask them if that would put pressure on them. And for the average consumer, of course, paying $19,000 off in 6 months would put a little pressure on them. But I'm almost using this as a way to sell against interest-free. So let's say hypothetically the homeowner said, yeah, Dominic, that put a little pressure on us. I'm really glad you told me this because this is what I call the sins of omission. Some people don't lie to you. They just intentionally omit important things you deserve to know as a homeowner. This is considered a high-risk loan, John and Mary. This is a high-risk loan. The reason why is it seems pretty harmless, right? 6 months interest-free, no payment, no interest, seems great. What happens if you don't pay this off in 6 months? This is what nobody explains to customers, and it bothers me. If you don't take care of this in 6 months, you now have 6 months retroactively of interest that would liken to that of the highest cost credit card interest rate you've ever seen. So what I mean is many of these will jump up over 20 to 28%. 20 to 28% interest. So imagine getting a penalty of 28% interest for the entire 6 months back retroactively is a huge slap on the hand. I mean, that's devastating. This is why I like to confirm if that would be comfortable or not, because if it isn't, you're going to save yourself a catastrophe at the end of the day. This is why this is truly only a suitable program for people that could literally just pay it off right now, but would prefer to break it up in a couple bite-sized pieces. So for what you're looking for, there's a couple other options I think would be more suitable. Another one here is a 60-month program. And this 60-month essentially gives you 5 years, which again, I don't want you to be discouraged about the length of time on these programs, John and Mary, because with any of these, you have no prepayment penalty, no prepay. And what that means is you can take care of this as fast or as slow as you want to. It's really up to you. And regardless of what the monthly investment is, with no prepayment penalty, every dollar amount above that minimum is going to go interest-free towards your principal balance. So the most important thing for you is to figure out, okay, what's a monthly investment that I can truly afford, and then give you the freedom and flexibility to pay more at your leisure. Does that make sense? So of course, a 60-month, now this is at a 9.9% interest rate. Now, I just want to clarify. Remember we were talking about the home equity lines of credit, how they rope you in at like 6.9 for the promo, and then a year later they're at the prime rate of whatever that is, And then that can go as high as 18 to 25% interest. And a lot of those against secured loans where they have leverage against all your property and personal belongings. I want you to think of any credit card you have. What is the best interest rate you have on a credit card right now? 18%, right? So imagine a credit card that would have an interest rate fixed for the life of the loan at just 9.9%. I'm sure you'd agree that'd be pretty outstanding, right? Well, that's essentially what these unsecured revolving lines of credit are. It's just like having a credit card. And having it fixed at 9.9 for the life of the loan with no prepayment is an absolute gift. And this is why everybody loves this, because it gives you that freedom and flexibility to take care of this at your leisure. Now, John and Mary, with this one being a 5-year, instead of having to pay this whole thing off in, just 6 months, now it would be down to just $408 a month. So $408 per month. And again, every dollar above $408 you pay will go interest-free towards your principal. Now, the last one here, which is probably one of our most popular, it's the same interest rate. It extends it out to 7 years. And this is also at a 9.9% interest rate. And the reason why this is kind of a no-brainer for most of my customers because it's at the same interest rate, and this would get you down to just $318. Even if you elected to take the 84 months and pay $408 on your monthly investment, you're going to have more money going interest-free towards your principal than you would if you took the 60-month and just paid the minimum. Does that make sense? Now, I was actually talking to our banks and lenders, and they said the average homeowner that takes a 7-year term pays this off in 2 to 3 years. Now, just as an example, as a hypothetical, if you took this 84-month and you paid this off in 24 months, your actual interest rate you would pay would be around 5.9% interest. It'd be around a 5.9% interest rate. So you can obviously see how that could be a benefit. And this is why our unsecured financing is absolutely phenomenal. So now let me ask you a question, John and Mary. If you were to move forward with this project, which one of these plans makes the most sense for you? Which one works the best for you? So this is where we're talking about the 3-payment close. I'm giving them 3 different options. And of course, I'm talking them through each option, educating them on pros and cons, and isolating them down as their financial advisor, as their guidance counselor, what's going to give them the best bang for the buck. And because I'm doing this in such a advisory type of way, like a guidance counselor, I'm building a lot of trust through this process because I'm trying to help them select the program that's going to help them save the most money, chisel away at the most interest, and ultimately have the most flexible monthly investment terms possible. So now, you noticed earlier I was in the if and when stage, right? If and when. Now, kind of secretly, I'm shortening the timeline because when I delivered the 3 different monthly investment programs and I show them the 3 different options, 408, 308, 6-month no. Now, instead of saying if and when, I say, now, John and Mary, let me ask you a question. If you were to move forward with this project, which one of these programs works best for you? You notice I didn't say if and when you were to move forward with this project because I'm shortening the timeline psychologically without building pressure. Does that make sense? So now let's say, for this example, they say, well, Dominic, the 318 would be the most affordable. Don't just jump in and assume the sale just yet. I want to confirm. So if I hear correctly, and I think I do, it sounds like the 5% down and the monthly investment of 318 is completely affordable for you? Now, if they say yes to this, closers, what do I have every right to do? Assume the sale. Assume the sale with a relaxed, assertive confidence. So how do I do that? I want to reach out my hand. So they just said, yes, 318 is completely affordable. Well, John and Mary, congratulations. I knew we could make this affordable. Welcome to Grosso University. You're going to love your new windows. You're going to love your new shower or bath system. Reach your hand out, shake their hand, smile. Congratulations. Welcome to the family. You're going to absolutely love your new home when we're done. Assume the order as if they've already said yes. And again, we got extensive training on why assuming the sale actually bypasses any pressure they might be feeling versus asking for the sale creates pressure. But I just want to recap this. It's so important. How you talk, act, and behave when discussing money is absolutely everything. But this is what the top closers have mastered and why they leverage financing 8 times more than average salespeople do. I deliver my total investment, right? So John and Mary, here's what we're looking at. One more thing. As much as I love to earn your business this evening, this total investment is good for 30 days. So you deliver the total investment, sit back, and zip the lip. So now they give you some sort of objection or response or rebuttal. No matter what they tell you, it could be your price is too high, it could be shop around, it could be think over. I don't really care. I'm going to transition to financial terms the same way. So I can appreciate that. Now, John and Mary, again, that's why we guarantee the investment for 30 days. And just out of curiosity, if and when you were to move forward with a project like this, how would you handle this? Is this something you take care of as a cash investment, check or credit card, or like most of our customers, something you'd handle as a monthly investment and or a budget plan? So you say, well, Dominic, we'd have to finance it. So great, since I'm here anyway, again, remaining if and when, let me just show you a few of our most popular monthly investment programs. You let me know which one works best for you, fair enough? Now we need to establish a deposit. Now, John and Mary, typically when our customers move forward with a project like this, on average, the banks and lenders like to see anywhere from a 10 to 20% initial deposit, which in this case would be anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 even. If you're to handle this project in the next 30 days, would $2,000 be comfortable, or could we handle a 20% or more initial deposit? Again, we do accept credit cards, so if you get any points, cash back, or miles, might as well take advantage of it. So they say either 10%, 20%, or none of the above. They say none of the above. Hey, no sweat. I promised you earlier, affordability was our best feature. Let me ask you a question. Would a 2.5% or 5% make sense? That'd be anywhere from $500 to $1,000. Again, this is for your future consideration here, right? So they say, well, Dominic, 5% makes the most sense. 5%, that's the perfect deposit to make this affordable. So thank you for that. And factoring that in, that means we'd be doing a budget plan on just 19 even. So I tell you what, using 19 even, let me just list out a few of our most popular options. Again, let me know which plan makes the most sense for you. Then I go through the interest-free option, short-term interest-free. It does not have to be any of these, by the way. These are just examples, but just to show you how we work this. Now, in my mind, I know that I have a 10-year plan. I know that I have a 12-year plan. And some of you watching this probably have a 15 or 2-year or a 24-month plan. Some of you have some crazy options you can do, but I don't want to lead with my best plans first. And in a roundabout way, I almost want to lead with monthly investment plans I almost know they're going to object to. Because when you're negotiating, you never lead with your best first. You got to always give yourself room to go, because they're always going to want more than what you lead with, right? So if I lead with my best plan first and they say no, where do I go? And that's home, all right? So I lead with these plans, again, explaining the pros and cons, show them the alternative of choice. Then once I have the 3 plans on the table or written down on my computer, whatever it is, I say, now, John and Mary, now that you can see our 3 different options, if you're to move forward with this project, which one of these programs works best for you? And they say the 7-year, 84 a month. So just confirming, John and Mary, if I hear correctly, and I think I do, it sounds like the $1,000 initial deposit, 5%, and the $318 a month is completely affordable for you? Well, congratulations. Welcome to Grosso University. I knew we could make this affordable. You're going to absolutely love your new kitchen. So very, very powerful stuff, and there's a lot more training on this, but this 3 payment close, the language that you use, how you navigate this, how you make this simple, painless, and easy for people to own your product is literally going to help you sell millions and millions of dollars. So I promise you, if you were just to study this video here and the video we also have on YouTube just on the art of price delivery, those are the 2 areas that I see salespeople completely talking themselves out of the house. So you got to master the art of price delivery and how to navigate financial terms. And when you can get good at selling financing, you're going to be a multi-gazillion-dollar sales superstar. Because I promise you, this is the one thing I see in common with the top 1%ers. They absolutely mastered how to leverage financing as a boomerang to the sale. So I hope this video was helpful. Of course, we're going to have a lot more information on this topic here, and of course, many other topics related to closing. If you got any value away from this video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share some tips and pointers of your own on how you leverage financing to the boomerang to the sale. And make sure you stay tuned on the Grosso University YouTube channel. We're going to continue to upload life-changing content like this that can help you be a top performer in your chosen profession. Again, Dominic here with Grosso University. Appreciate your time. And yes, you are a closer.